What's up, everybody? I hope you're having an amazing day. I just wanted to give some little thoughts here about abortion. Obviously, right now it is quite a tumultuous time in our nation, and I'm amazed when the stuff comes up how much it sifts the wheat from the chaff, not just in the world, but primarily in the church. I think without a shadow of a doubt that abortion is the greatest evil on the face of the earth right now. And I remember when I was 17 years old, I listened to a few messages from Lou Engle. And if you remember, if you're a charismatic that's been around for a little while, you remember the Bound for Life movement and the silent sieges and the justice houses of prayer. And I would go to these meetings, led by Lou Engle or people that were inspired by him. And, we would fast and pray for sometimes, 12 hours at a time for the ending of abortion. And I remember just feeling the heart of God in those moments, just weeping before the Lord, just crying out to him for him to break in and to overturn Roe v. Wade. And those were such pivotal moments of feeling what the heart of God is like, but in that context specifically for the unborn. And, I think back even to my own birth story. My mom was not so sure if she believed in abortion or not. She didn't really know. No one really told her exactly what it was. And especially in her time, day in the 90s. And there were some concerns that I might have something wrong with me, and they inserted a needle, and there was I guess a sonogram camera, up against her stomach. And when the needle came in, she saw on the camera me cover my face, and she just realized in that moment of like, man, like, I can't believe somebody would abort a baby. And it's a sad issue. And it shocks me when I see Christians, some prominent Christians, supposedly Christians, say things like, well, I'm not for it, but I'm not going to choose that for other women. So you're saying murder should be optionary. I wouldn't do it. I think it's wrong, but I'll let somebody else do it. No, a culture that doesn't protect innocent life is on its way to hell in a handbasket, okay? Look, I'm libertarian. I'm very libertarian. I'm libertarian conservative. If you don't know what that means, libertarians are people that believe politically that the government should not control people's economic or personal lives. In short, small government. And so I get that argument in a lot of cases, but when it comes to innocent life, we have to make laws. There has to be laws that don't allow the murder of the unborn. That it's just so clear, simple, and just beyond any level of common sense to believe otherwise. So I just want to encourage you today. Pray. I'm so excited about this potential. Nothing's happened, yet, but I'm so excited for this potential decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. My understanding is that then it would be a states' rights issue. Places like California, they're still going to have abortions for the foreseeable future. But, places like Texas and, maybe Virginia and Alabama, South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, we could see millions of babies saved in just a few years. And so, like I said on Facebook, I encourage you, if you go to a church that doesn't talk about this, doesn't mention this, isn't you have a pastor or a leader that isn't heartbroken over the slaughter of the unborn, then you need to find a new church. These beta male pansy pastors, leaders that don't care about these issues, don't want to stir the pot too much, don't want people to leave their churches and take away their tithes and offerings, um, you need to leave. I'm so sick of just spineless pastors who don't talk about this. If the church would have woken up to this 30 years ago and prayed, and this actually like pricked our hearts, I think this issue would have been dealt with a long time ago. And I believe, call me a conspiracy theorist, but I believe that there are really, really deep, even deeper spiritual realities that go on with abortion. You can talk to former witches and Satanists, and current ones. They talk about how there are spiritual realities that take place with blood sacrifice. And I mean, seriously, I mean, there's been 62 million blood sacrifices to the devil in America since Roe v. Wade was founded. How much darkness has been welcomed into our land. People in the New Age, they know this better than Christians do, but sacrifice, blood sacrifice, it welcomes darkness, it welcomes spiritual activity into the land, into regions. I believe that the onslaught of the LGBT agenda and all the immorality in our nation, and violence and all these things could very well be due to blood sacrifice. And so it's sad, and I just want to say, I meant to say this maybe at the beginning, but it slipped my mind in the moment. But man, just to be clear, like, there is always, always, always forgiveness with Jesus. I have close, good friends that had abortions before Christ, and there's forgiveness, and they're, to this day, some of them heartbroken over that decision. And Jesus heals. He loves, loves, loves those that have had abortions or have committed that sin as a doctor or a nurse. He loves them, and he wants to forgive them and wash away their sins, wash away their hurt, their pain, the trauma of it. And so there's always forgiveness. I don't ever mean to sound condemning on this issue. I hope I'm not perceived that way. But it's kind of like the purity issue. I remember, thinking about this a lot in college. I would hear pastors and youth pastors like tiptoe around the purity issue, and keeping your virginity for your wedding night. I would hear them tiptoe around this so that they wouldn't condemn those that already had, because, I mean, let's be honest, like any youth group in America you go to, about 50 to 75% of them have already lost it, lost their virginity. And so I'm just like, man, like, let's not tiptoe. Like, let's preach the grace and the mercy and the blood of the cross, that it forgives and it heals. But let's talk about this so other people don't make that mistake and hurt themselves. And we need to be really out in the open about this issue, and need to be a lot more passionate, I believe, about it. We need more adoption. As a friend of mine, reminded me on Facebook, that's very important. We need to talk about that too. But let's get first things first. Let's take this thing down. So I feel like there was something else I was gonna say in regards to this. Oh, I know. For those that care, which should be everyone, about racism in America. Racism is evil. It's disgusting. It is a deep and awful sin to hate a image bearer. And anyone that cares about that conversation, that topic, which they should be the most strong pro-life people in the world. Margaret Sanger was a eugenicist. She believed in getting rid of the inferior races. You can read her quotes over and over. She's Hillary Clinton's famous or favorite woman in history. So, really important. But you can read her quotes. Um, and she talked about how we need to get rid of the Poles. The Polish people were really hated in that time frame. Um, the Poles, the Jews, the blacks, the Hispanics. She talks about that, and there's even pictures where she was speaking at Ku Klux Klan meetings. She wrote papers for Nazi Germany in their eugenics programs. And that, there's no mistake. I think it's 85% of Planned Parenthoods are in minority neighborhoods. Um, so the reality is that this is a racist idea. It's evil. It was started to weed out according to Margaret Sanger, the inferior races, and it's disgusting. It's absolutely horrible. Imagine how many more Ben Carsons and amazing black leaders that we would have on the face of the earth today if they wouldn't have been aborted. And I know people that were attempted to have been aborted who are just some of the most amazing, world-changing people who are almost aborted or even botched abortions, and they survived that, and it needs to change. So speak up, church. Let's pray. Let's go after this thing. Your voice on social media, sharing things like this, makes a difference. It pressures your representatives, and most of all, let's pray. So go for it.